we're doing a stream. I told a bunch of people I was gonna help them with their PRs, so I will now begin that process. People are asking if they can try out Devin. The Devin team reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we'll give you more time to use Devin," which is pretty cool because I'm sure they are working on a lot of really tough stuff since launch. So I'm glad they're giving me a little bit more time to play with it. I had like some weird thoughts last night regarding our sort of what's it called? This pattern, this recursive pattern pathfinder. And I kind of got a little bit obsessed with this idea of trying to only use 45-degree angles and otherwise straight lines, because that's what's normal on a PCB. So I thought maybe this would create some more interesting paths. Yo, what up, Ansh? I think you were one of the people who I needed to do stuff for. So let me take a look at whatever it is you wanted. You wanted some stuff to be pushed, right, to the trending snippets auto poster, I think. Yeah, it looks so. I'll create a new branch called Sevi Ansh Fixes, push to that branch, and then I'll create a draft PR. So now you can see all the work I did. I can check out your PR too. Oops. Let's make it a draft PR. Okay. Let's do a pull request. Okay, so we're committing the previous trending snippets. You know, this name isn't very good. It should probably be like already posted snippets, right? Because you want to track this. You don't need to track the snippets that the point of this bot is to post snippets to Reddit automatically. So you don't need to track the previous trending. You need to track what you've already posted. You can just get the latest trending. You don't need to track that. Okay, let's see what else. Bun tests. We got some tests. That's always good. You know, I don't like big PRs. I think if I would normally ask you to break this up. You should try to do well, I guess it's okay. I guess we have a long time gap, so you're trying to do a big PR. Fair enough. Yeah, obviously all of this needs to change. Previous snippets file, it should be whatever I said above. Should be whatever I said above, sorry. It's bothering me. Should be already posted. Yeah, you even have good names. Posted snippets. You have the right name here, wrong name here. So just make sure those names are clean all throughout. You can't, and like the word previous really should not appear. Previous is also confusing because it sounds like one iteration before and not an aggregate. That's not the right link. That's also not the right link, what I posted. I don't even, how did you even get that link? That's not the right link at all. All right, TS circuit kind self. Okay. Title. Let's use the AI description. For Rashab, I don't know if Rashab is here, but maybe I'll hop in the Discord live stream chat in case people are up in a boot. Let's see. All right, starting stream. And then I will hop over to the live stream channel. in case anyone wants to chat. But I think we might need to make that AI description available on our back end. I'm not sure if it's available. I can find out by going to the snippets get endpoint. Yeah. An available property on snippets. Oh, whoops. No bounty needed on this one. It's back end. Nobody can do bounties. Okay. Yeah, this isn't right. So you got to use Ansh, you got to break up this PR. You can't do it in one PR, man. It's too much, man. It's too much. You're taking off more than you can chew. I think yeah, I don't know. You got to go back. There's so much stuff that's wrong. There's so much, man. You got to go back in time. Yo, what up, Rashab? How's it going? Should be like getm dot I don't know. I like to do a getm variable, but you could also do a ctx pattern. Yeah, we should probably use a ctx pattern. ctx dot reddit token. Or ctx dot env dot reddit token. I guess this is also why I can't have big issues, but yeah, I don't know. It's getting closer, but yeah, no mocking. I don't know what's going on here. If URL includes, this is a form of mocking. Don't monkey patch Axios. It's not. Yeah, you still got mocks, man. I don't know, man. You got to break this up, dude. You should start from scratch and break it up. There's so much stuff. Like your code owners isn't even in the right place. This is supposed to be. We put this in GitHub. Inside GitHub directory. It's just a lot. It's a lot for one PR, you know? Like if it was smaller PRs, it'd be a little bit easier. Because it's also a lot to review. And the only reason I can't merge this as an in-progress PR is because you have a claim on it. So maybe just open a new PR without the claim, and you can, I would literally merge it as is and just help you fix it, and then you could claim when it's actually running. But you're kind of claiming, and it's not complete. So like I would have to file like 5 issues after for all the bugs. Yeah. Anywho, noted. The hell, man. It's a tough position to be in, bootstrapping. Bootstrapping a repo is tricky. I should have maybe done an issue to bootstrap without all the steps, but I don't know. Especially with the fakes. A lot of people don't know how to do fakes, which is fine. Okay, so anyway, was playing with this algorithm, and I switched to using these orthogonal or 45-degree only patterns, and it looks a lot more like a normal PCB when you do this. There's some issues with these patterns, but it's mainly like right now it's failing to solve a lot. The issues with this are mainly in this case because of the lack of patterns to choose from. Like, so the sizing is like way off, I think. Yeah, the sizing is way off because it doesn't have many variants of these patterns to choose from. Anyway, I'm gonna indulge myself and spend a couple minutes on that. But actually, before I do that, let me go through GitHub notifications here, see if anybody has anything for me to look at. Yeah, AI description available on snippets. That's a good one. Oh yeah, Rishab, this one is well suited for your previous work. Whoops. Sevi, actually, in these 3 days, I've done 4 major PRs, all in the Bootstrap repo, so I have unclaimed bounty and it's bad for me as a human. I think when you say bad for me as a human, I think you mean it's stressing you out to be working on something without a bounty or something like that. I've done 4 major PRs in the Bootstrap repo and have an unclaimed bounty. I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I don't know. The bounties are also set based on expected value. So like for better or worse, they're set based on expected value. If I test blah blah blah, why am I tagged on this? I guess I'm watching this repo, so I get all the issues. That's probably not good. Simple text fixture for CLI. Why is this displaying as an open issue? I'm pretty sure this guy should be closed. Pretty sure this guy got merged. Yeah, that shouldn't be open. I guess Algora doesn't close issues automatically or something. Or maybe they forgot to put /fixes. I need to transfer this issue. People were complaining about that on Discord. Yeah, I don't know what to say on the Bootstrap thing. Like, you know, you can I mean, like, we don't pay based on effort, or there's no bounties based on effort. Sometimes expected value takes into account effort, but again, it's like value to the project, perceived difficulty, and then perceived chance of success. And that's where things go down, is if somebody's going to be unsuccessful, there's a lower bounty on it, because I don't want to incentivize people to all work on something where a lot of people are going to fail. If I had contributor tiers, what I would do is have different tiers for different people so that people could try more ambitious things, but we don't have that. I guess this PR is in the wrong repo. I'm just going to close it. So somebody said the issue was also defined in the wrong repo. Yeah, so let's transfer this. Transfer to the CLI repo. I think some people have write access, so if you have write access, you can do this for me. You can save me time. We're going to transfer this to the CLI. Nice. Whoops. All right, what else we got? Explain how to use tests in the README. I think somebody is attempting this. All right, let's take a look. It's not about the money, but see, for like the fake Reddit repo, issue roulette, what do you think it would be fair for tip for your efforts? But it's never about bounty or money. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, dude. Yes. And look, man, ideally, I'm trying to steward the project, okay? You can think about my entire mindset. This is okay. There's so much junk on this PR. All right, that's too much. To set up your test server, get test server after each. Yes, that's good. Nice. That's good. Can we switch to KY using KY dot create prefix URL here? Yes, that's correct. Yeah, nice catch, Rashab. All right, what else we got? Wow, so many node ifs. So many node ifs. Testing Elk.js. I've been curious about this PR. So this integrates Elk.js. Ooh, that's not good. That's not good. You want to integrate. Oh, huh. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, actually. Yeah, so this is basically in our little render system here. We have this issue where let's see, where do we start? We start with you have before layout. Yeah, so you have sort of the position before layout, the position after, or the position in layout, and the position after layout. That's currently sort of the 3 stages of positions that you can have during the render process. And the thing that transitions you is do initial schematic layout render, something like that. Namo Shive, Sevi bro. Am I saying that right? Namho? Namho Shive to you as well, whatever that means. Hopefully I'm not slurring. But good morning, or good evening, good night, etc. So these are all of the steps in our render process, everything we go through. And we're interested right now in schematic layouts. So yeah, schematic, it's just called do initial schematic layout. This render system evolved pretty naturally, I would say. And the contention is, what does schematic X and schematic Y mean? Should it be something that is an input to the layout algorithm? Also, I can't assure if I unclaim most amount of bounty like this if I do 90% of work, you know? I don't know, man. It's not exactly a perfect system. It's not exactly a perfect system. Maybe the issue should have been broken up, but bounties are set wrong all the time. Sometimes things need to be broken up, you know. I think you're doing good work, but at the same time, it doesn't work. So you're asking to be paid for something that does not work. In fact, you used a test token. You literally hard-coded a test token. So, yeah, I mean, right? I can't deploy it. That GitHub workflow that you did, it would run. Maybe it would hit the real Reddit API, but it would hit it with a fake. It would hit it with a test token, and there's no instructions for how to set up a test token. So think of your value delivered to the end user. There's none. So, right, it would be a different story if we used it all the time, and I was like, oh, and there would probably be a bunch of issues and bounties for bugs and stuff like that. And there would be a lot there because we would be at a point where we're getting value of it from it. But we don't even know if the whole strategy will work. And I mentioned this last stream, but we give more bounties for things that actually are electronics issues. Like if you're building core product, you somehow help. Like the thing I'm talking about right now that I'm like drawing out is related to our rendering algorithms. It makes the core product better. That stuff is like, you know, that's the hard stuff. A lot of people from the internet can come in and do web PRs. It's a good starting place for people with web PRs. But the nitty gritty of building electronics, making sure the product works, finding issues. One of the most important things to do is find issues. That's kind of the nitty gritty. If you're doing stuff on the on the periphery of that, it's still important. Like, we need to drive signups. We have to get Google to like recognize us and stuff like that. So it's very important, right? But it's not, especially if your thing doesn't work. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's people complaining about bounties. So yeah, the issue in question here is when the schematic position should be applied, and there's two like opinions. Is you apply them. It's really like if you think about it in web dev, it's really the difference between position relative and position absolute. It's kind of like that. Position absolute, it completely ignores the layout, right? And people get confused. People think it's people of this opinion think it's a bug when it's over here, and vice versa. I think right now it is actually set up with position relative, which I think is the default correct behavior, and that's also what web does. But certainly people would want to do position absolute, and that should be a thing as well. And we could even I don't really like the name position. We could call it something like layout. Yeah, we might want to call the property like, layout or something like that. But position is familiar to web devs anyway. But anyway, these are the two ways. So I'll send this to Shibo here. But layout algorithm, and I'll say if position is relative, use schematic X and schematic Y in Yo Zohabe, what up? Welcome. Yeah, okay. So this is, I think, probably, without thinking about it too hard, this seems like the right path to take. I'll just say down here, I don't like the name position, but it is familiar to web devs. I was joined from Discord. Sorry, but I've talked too much nonsense then. Sorry. No worries, Anj. You have griped quite a bit, I will say that, in this stream with your 2 comments. No, it's okay. All is well. All is well. You gotta think from my position. I'm just stewarding the project, That's my job. My job is just to steward the project, make sure it's successful. There's like limited resources. So like I think it'll get better, but I try to have a very like, refined policy around that. It's not about effort fairness, right? Like if it was about effort fairness, like the people who tried the hardest would get the most bounties and stuff like that. It's not about that. It's about value delivered to project. Ayush, what up? Welcome. I don't like the name position. What would be, if you could go back in time and fix the CSS standard, what would be a better name for position? And of course, I'm not asking you. I'm asking AI. if you could go back in time and change the CSS property name for position to make it more clear, what would you change it to? Layout mode. I was also thinking layout mode. Yeah, I was also thinking layout mode. Yeah, there's also static. I forgot about static. Absolute, relative, fixed, sticky. Yeah. Yep. I like it. Position is familiar to web devs. I think layout mode is a better name. You know, it's one of those things where I was thinking it, but I was like, for some reason I don't like it. Nope, it's a fucking great name. Okay. I talked about this on stream today at the 25-minute point. And before I post this, I guess I'll make a quick issue. Because there's been a lot of confusion about this, and I get why. Oh, that cell property that we talked about yesterday, I just talked from the heart. I appreciate you, Ansh. Look, I'm an authentic person. I like to say what's on my mind. A lot of times you learn a lot when you say what's on your mind, so I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I have zero hard feelings. You're just frustrated because you've been working on a PR for 3 days, and it hasn't gone very well. And because you can only get reviews every 8 hours, it's quite painful. So it's okay. I get it. Maybe, yeah, I get it. It sucks. Okay. Yeah, so introduce layout mode, docs that clarify how rendering works. And this also has to be, I guess, schematic layout mode, because you could have a PCB layout mode too, which kind of sucks. I hate all these prefixes, but like, I don't know what else to do with what we got. Calm Senapati says, "Oh, you are on YouTube and X. You are double dipping, increasing my count. I don't know how to bounty this. I'm just gonna CC Shibo. I don't know how to bounty this because the implementation is yeah, I'll just say this. I'll just say that. I don't know how to bounty this because the implementation is tricky. I feel like it'll be a bit hard but very clarifying. I'll give it a bounty of 10. 20. All right, we're gonna try to ban the Twitch person, but I don't know if it'll work. Oh yeah, I don't have the bot. I don't think it works. I can't do it. Sad face. Whatever. Introduce schematic layout mode. Cool. We'll link Shibo to this. Minute points. Boom. Drew a diagram. You know what's funny is we really haven't gotten through much of this PR. I basically have started knitting on the first line, and that's how it is. You know, that's how it is. You guys ever got PR reviews in your lives? That ever happened to you? All right, layout schematic with elk. Nice. Oh, you're completely removing the old algorithm. Sad face. I don't know if I would completely remove the old algorithm. Oh, interesting. It executes in a web worker. We'll need to load this via blob URL or the valve here, probably, yeah. Unfortunately. will require bundling step similar to TS circuit eval web worker. I'm thinking maybe we create a separate package for this just to simplify where this code lives and to make as many test cases as possible, but not sure. Bye, Sevi bro. I'm going to go work on a project. And then more of the Namah Shivaya. Shiva is a god and supreme deity. Namah Shivaya is a mantra devoted to use and greeting others. Oh, I didn't know that. Ansh, good night. There's even a Twitch. Yes, we are also on Twitch. Okay, very cool. Namah Shivaya. Very cool. God of greeting. I like it. I like the vibe. Okay. Cool. This is great. Definitely want to see this is great. I think, okay, so my issue is I really got to set up dictation. How do you dictate? Can I just press, actually, I think I can press a button. Can I dictate now? Does this work? Can I dictate? Yeah. All right. Nice. All right. Now I won't have to type slowly. I will attempt to use dictation on my Mac. All right. So my thought on this is we might not want to remove the old stuff, which I know how to improve, versus ElkJS, which I don't know the limitations of. We might want to create an NPM repo that specifically tests that ElkJS can lay out different things, or almost have a repo that's just filled with tests that we can use to test different ways to use ElkJS. So this is my thought. Imagine getting a review comment like this. Oh man, yeah, I got to fix some typos in here. Not the best dictation. This is great. My thought, blah blah blah. Remove stuff. Know how to improve versus the schematic auto layout algo versus ElkJS, which I don't know the limitations of, and a repo for a new node project. Wow, that's actually pretty bad dictation. We could have a repo that's test lots of different layouts. Actually, we already kind of have a repo like this, schematic auto layout. Yeah, autolayout.tscircuit.com. Yeah. This repo is all about testing layouts. I shouldn't feel bad for myself when TTS doesn't work. Yeah, it was really bad, especially on technical stuff. I need my ChatGPT. I was in Taiwan and testing translation. We could literally use the setup in this repo, but I would start anew using snapshot testing. Let me bootstrap a repo just so that they have somewhere to PR if they want to do that. ElkJS auto layout test. Yeah, we'll just call it that. Throw in a README, MIT license. The reason I always bootstrap repos using the GitHub thing, I used to not do this. I used to just go, oh, initialize it locally and push. But you can't like do a PR. You don't have your, you have your first commit, but you don't have like diffs from the beginning. It's just like slightly jank. I created a repo here. kind of like this. All right. I should use Windows TTS to compare. Google TTS is not this bad. Yeah, I feel like Apple sucks and Siri is the worst agent. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, Apple just they released their stuff too early, so they just released Apple Intelligence for if you updated your computer. Like I can press the command key twice, and it's hard to see, but in the top right corner I can type to Siri. But they didn't. It seems like they didn't release all the updates that make it have like a competent AI. So like it's like I'm not going to use that. It's not nearly as good as as like the chat tools or whatever. Ooh, there's some fighting. Let's see who's fighting. Looks good to me. Blah blah blah. Okay, Rashab says it's good. Ooh, inline CSS for skeleton loader. This actually does look correct. That actually does look correct. Skeleton loader. I don't get it though. How does it go away? How does it go away? Added use effect for skeleton cleanup. Yeah. Look good to me. Let's see Shibo weigh in. I'm excited for local LLMs being decent, but even it's like whenever I go to AI, I really want the best. It's just the way it is, you know what I mean? All right, I need to draw another version of this diagram because we have, or maybe I can modify it. We have this issue where, all right, so let's say we're decided on the word layout mode. So CSS, it wasn't, the people who design these APIs, they feel familiar, they feel good, but they weren't the best. I'm not the best. They weren't the best. It's not the best, position that is not intuitively relative or absolute. Apple is garbage. Wow. A lot of Apple hate in here. I'm using a Mac right now, so if I was putting my money where my mouth is, I'd be so I can't say too much. I love the M series chips. I'm a big fan, so there's only so much I can say. All right, so there's two ways to specify schematic X and Y. You also have the manual edits. So you have the manual edit.x and the manual edit.y. And I think most people expect this to come in after layout. But it's not clear if it should override the schematic X, Y or not. I think it probably should modify it. So you almost have like a little sub thing in here. Yeah, it's a little confusing, but if somebody manually edits something, then you want to keep their changes, generally speaking. So manual edits overrides. Overrides with highest. Yeah, let's just say manual edits overrides. I guess that's the more full way to think about it. It's a pretty good diagram. Would save me a lot of time if I had thought of this sooner, but takes time. Takes time to figure out what the hell you're doing. I have to say MacBook Pro is the best. There is no competition, but Apple ecosystem I'm not fond of. Yeah, I think that's true. There's so many bad products within the Apple ecosystem. Here's the version with manual edits. we could literally add render stages that compute each position explicitly instead of using getters like we currently do. I'm looking for a new laptop in 6 months / a year. I like Windows, just can't find MacBook Pro alternatives. Why do you like Windows? I have a Windows PC now. But I don't feel like, I don't really feel the urge over I don't really feel the urge over a Mac at all. Ooh, that's a lot of loading for snippets. Code and preview. Whoa, I am so confused. How old is this? Oh, hey. Oh, hey, Dr. Sanser. I think Shibo already fixed this using lazy loading, which turned out to be a way better approach than script async. Oh, hey. Sorry about that. That was 16 hours ago. We're starting to get a little bit further. Looks good to me in mobile. I just said looks good to me. What do you where do we go from here? Write a test. Okay, the only way to settle this is with a playwright test. Honestly, I think the screen size you're testing is smaller than any screen size that can be rendered on mobile. So I think the entire issue might be moot. And that's just a hard truth. Okay, add quantity column in the bill of materials. Okay, I don't think... Oh, this is getting staled out. That's why I'm getting notifications. Some very old issues are getting staled out. That's good. Okay, fix production build. Oh, yeah, I wanted to try something with this production build. I think if I set... Let's see, this is called issue roulette, which going through my notifications is one way of playing. Okay. I'm in OneDrive. It is cheaper than iCloud. Includes MS Office and some other products. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, if you need... It really sucks when you need Word and you don't have it. Yeah. All right. Let's try... I don't know. Can I try a redeploy? Kind of don't know what to do. Find recent issues. Find random recent issues for the TS Circuit project that are ready to be worked on. We'll do a README update. That's always a good way to, push a new version of prod. Use Next.js. Wait, it uses Next.js? Oh, okay, so it was configured properly. Interesting. Ansh, when you say you're going to bed, do you mean you're leaving your laptop and opening your phone in bed? I'm an expert in Next.js. Well, then tell me why this app won't deploy. Ansh says he fixed it. Fix production build. Well, that's not going to fix anything. No, wait, you need to run this command at production npm run build. Then that's not, bro, that's not how Vercel projects deploy. Didn't I send you the build logs for this? It's error pre-rendering. It's a pre-rendering error. API rate limit exceeded. We need to put in a GitHub token. I don't even know how you ever deployed this. We need to put in a GitHub token. Because it's using an anonymous GitHub server thing. I need access. Give me like 3 hours. I would give it to you, but I think it is application specific. Also, I think you were joking, but you can never be too sure. All right. Look at all these notifications. People are like, why didn't you ever respond to me? Because like I have to refresh this page, wait, and then I get all these. Oh man, I got to get Al Gore out of stuff giving me notifications. Oh, this issue is staling out? This shouldn't stale out. Reopen. Allow rendering inside web worker. Yeah, that one's probably fine to not do. Because we made web workers work a little different. All right. That's good. Let's look at this algorithm. So you can see it's not solving much right now because there's not enough variations of the pattern. It can solve a lot, but it can't. I wonder why it can't. I feel like it should. Yeah. So like when it hits a collision, it doesn't have enough variance to try out. So there's a bunch of math. Is the GitHub repo for that public? It is. It's github.com/tscircuit/issue roulette. Can I post links? Let's see if yeah, I can't paste into Restream in general. It's just kind of I can. Okay. I don't know if the link will work, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a GitHub API rate limit issue. So we just need to add an environment variable for GitHub token and have it use that. I'm pretty sure that'll fix it because it's polling the TS Circuit API. Hopefully it's not polling too much because sometimes like it's possible that it's trying to poll so much in the build step that it crashes the thing. That's actually very likely. So I already wrote a couple patterns, and some of these patterns have variations, but I have a major gripe with these patterns. I have a couple major gripes. So these patterns, this looks cool visually, but I'm hoping this has a very practical use. The practical use is I would like it to these patterns. You try variations of these patterns when you're auto routing. And because intersection math is very fast, you should be able to solve the problems relatively quickly. I do have a little bit of an issue though. There are many there are symmetric when you move along the XY axis, you can see it's not the same as when you move along the Y axis here. So there's actually a variation it's not trying in each case. So I need to make it so it tries all variations in each case. So that is one thing. And then we just generally want it so that if we're doing this pathfinding, it can solve more cases. So just to show that this is closer to working, I can uncomment a bunch of variations of this, and we can see we should be able to do some pathfinding with those variations, or we should be able to do some better pathfinding. Unless it's square corner. Did I make an error? I think that's right. It should work better. Hold on. Square corner. Okay, so now we've got all these different variations. We're still missing a bunch. You can see, like, whenever you see a bunch of white space, that usually means your pattern isn't so good. It's skipping, like, big pieces of area. So so yeah, we should have access to those variations now. Although I'm not seeing it. I don't know. Is it not working? Oh, yeah, I think it's trying the variations. Still not super good. I think it is trying the variations, but it's not getting very far. So, yeah, it's like it looks like you almost want like a variation that's almost a straight line. Yeah, it's like pretty good at diagonals, still not great. That kind of surprises me. It's not able to solve that. It's crazy. I don't know. Patterns are hard. It's hard to think about. Is that like a rat maze game? No, it's not. We're trying to build very, very fast algorithms for pathfinding. And so it repeatedly applies patterns. So this is theoretically a very, very, very fast pathfinder when you have a lot of intersection math. So you have to believe that intersection math is more important than traditionally autowriters use a lot of memory and sort of like do a big grid and then you move along the grid. You use A star along a grid. But there's a way to do it using only intersection math, and yeah, theoretically it has a lot more potential. So we're only testing one pattern right here, but I'm a little bit obsessed with this square pattern, or I call it a square pattern with rounded corners. Yo, Tech Man, what up? Because I think this square pattern is all you need. But there are other patterns. So this is like a simple corner pattern. This is probably one of the simplest patterns. And this is almost enough. If you look at our work from yesterday or however long ago, where is it? Selectable patterns. So if we select, is this broken? Oh, I think I broke this. Hold on. Intercevi be like, and mentally it sucks. We can use in cabs to move around tight streets. Exactly. Show available patterns. Let's see if that fixes it. Oh no, you used to be able to select which patterns you want to use. Why is that broken? Hold on. Show available patterns. If show available patterns and patterns. Yeah. Okay, there we go. I broke it. So let's say we just have the wide arrow pattern. You can actually get away with solving a lot with this. But this one is not, like, look, it's crazy how much this can solve. It's crazy how much this one pattern can solve. And the yellow is how many variations it's trying. So it does pretty good just with this arrow pattern. What's the end goal is to route circuit boards, printed circuit boards. We are building electronics with TypeScript. So the goal is to see these lines. We want to be able to route these lines very quickly. Build your CNC. What up? Welcome. We had some people drop in from the Build Your CNC community, so I appreciate the shout out. Yeah, so I think I was speculating. I'm no algorithms guy, but I was speculating that this algorithm is the most is the fastest, at least conceptually, doing intersection math is the fastest possible way on sparse PCB layouts. So where there's not a high density of squares, and some PCBs have high density, but my theory is like many do not, and I can eventually measure it. But anyway, as you add more patterns, you can see the capabilities of it get a lot higher. So right now we're able to route everything in our little example. And what I like to do is be a little bit adversarial. So I can repeatedly try to make it so it can't solve it. But yeah, with that pattern, you can almost do everything. Actually, it's kind of surprising even how much you can do with just a wide arrow. All right, let's start doing corners. Yeah, so when we start blocking off things, you can see it never got to a correct solution. If we introduce double bend, that a lot of times helps. It seems like we're still failing on some things. So, yeah, it's not perfect. We can try some other patterns. Yeah, so that pattern fixed it. So then we can be adversarial again. So you can't go that way. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me. And I don't know what the optimal patterns is. I'll probably use a very, very big like machine learning / benchmarking process to eventually find out what the optimal patterns are. And then the other thing is these are all scale invariant patterns. So what that means is they aren't designed for any particular real world size. They're not designed for 1 meter or 1 millimeter. They're just designed for general purpose, and that's not going to be as effective at routing circuit boards. Yeah, the yellow is actually other routes we tried that the algorithm tried. So if I animate it, you can see the algorithm slowly hone in on the optimal route. So it uses an A star traversal. It's not recursive. It uses it is recursive in a sense, but it uses an A star traversal to try to hone in on the optimal route, which means you can definitely hurt it by getting rid of places it wants to go. You can be very adversarial with this algorithm. So if I block off this way, you can see it really doesn't even try the bottom route. If I give it more iterations, it's possible it would eventually try it. But yeah, it's struggling. It really doesn't. You're not seeing a ton of yellow routes on the bottom route. So, that's a place where the pattern, that's A star tuning basically. If you see it get into a corner where it really could escape with the patterns it has, then you really have to tune your A star algorithm. Yeah. So, but those are, for the most part, those are, you can work on the cost function a little bit. You can have custom cost functions like, oh, hey, if I've run a bunch of routes in this corner, stop running them. But yeah, there's a lot of cost functions you can do, but you can tune it using using regular machine learning stuff. You can do hyperparameter tuning on real data sets, and that's how you find the optimal parameters. So everything we're assuming, everything we're looking at, we can assume it's going to be 10 times better if deployed, probably 10 times faster because I'd optimize the specific algorithms, but also 10 times better at finding the destination just because it would be tuned. You know what I mean? It's like before those LLMs are like, they have the, Llama came out and it wasn't that good on its own, but then it got better as people tuned it on instructions. It's basically the same thing. None of these are tuned. It would be interesting to see a neural net version. Yeah, I think AI autorouters or diffusion-based autorouters are definitely going to be a thing. Part of the reason we're doing autorouting.com is to build a big enough data set so that people can teach autorouters with machine learning. That is a major reason we're doing this project. But I also think that you want to use the right tool for the job. It's like you don't need O1, which takes a ton of processing time to solve simple problems, simple LLM problems or Google queries and stuff like that. So I think that these really fast lower level algorithms are very nice. You can do real-time previews of PCB routing with these and stuff like that. And then when you go to production to route your board, or maybe just if you have something really hard like RAM you're routing, then you could use a true AI autorouter. But right now the space of autorouting is not super great as far as the number of people working in it and the number of available data sets and lots of stuff like that. So hoping to just make a dent there. Any plans to collab in the future? Collab with who? I would be open to collaborations, but for sure. But I say but because, you know, we have so much stuff to build for TS Circuit that like I mean, I guess everybody has stuff to build. I guess I would do a collab. But I can't imagine how I could be helpful. I guess maybe it's a self-esteem issue for people. I could help build a board for somebody's project, but they might have to be slightly patient as I struggle with TS Circuit's stuff. You know, that's kind of the thing is like I could be pumping out PCBs all the time, but I do try to use TS Circuit's tooling. It's the only way to improve it. So, you know, if there's a bug, we would go and try to work on the bug in TS Circuit. Me and the community. Of course, the community takes up a lot of that as well. Cool. Where was I? All right, square corners. We're not happy with the square corner auto routing. This is gonna be a real thinker, guys. This is gonna be I don't know if this will be great content, but it's on my mind and I want to do it. So the square corner, I'm gonna reduce it to just one case, so we can just look at one case. And I'm going to make this smaller. Yeah. Yeah, if you know people who I can collab with, I mean, I'm down for it. Build your CNC, I got to reach out so we could do some stuff. Neural network with simple inputs, hidden layers, and output. Nothing complex. Can introduce other interesting phenomenon that the human may not realize. Yeah, I think... Yeah, like, so the most challenging part, I wrote a blog post about this... on the blog.autorouting.com for the recursive pattern autorouter. So if you want to read how this thing works in more detail, this is the place to go. But in the beginning of the article, actually what I'm talking about is the optimal input and output format. So when you're training a neural network, I think the optimal input output format is really, really important. And so the point of this pattern pathfinder to some extent was to not to actually solve the circuit, but to create an output format that is really constrained. So if you have a diffusion-based neural network autorouter, it probably takes in pixels as input. That's probably what you do. That's most convenient. That's what most people do. So you'd probably be taking pixels as input and output. And you would actually need a massive data set to be able to train that. So because pixels have so many values, you would probably use a pre-trained data set, and then you'd have to train on that. And you would just need you'd need millions of auto-routing examples to train even a fairly low resolution image. So the question is, how do you get around that? And in machine learning, one of the easiest ways to make your problem easier is to constrain the output space. So the pattern autorouter is a very simple representation of a route. It's like you can represent it basically with binary. You're basically just saying which way did I turn, which pattern did I apply, and which way did I turn. So it has very few outputs, and so you can train a model easier. Another way to think about it is, if you were training an image algorithm, isn't it easier to train a classifier, something that just says, is this a cat? Is this a dog? Right? It's much easier to train that than to train something that generates images, than to do generative AI. Classifiers are easy to train. So here we're training a classifier. The bottom path is one classification. The top path is another classification. And you essentially just classify all the possible routes. You build it as a probability classifier. Yeah, so if you input coordinates into a neural network, it typically, I have never been successful inputting coordinates, and I've tried very simple things, but the problem is for neural networks to input output coordinates, you tend to it tends to need to learn functions like square root and repeatedly. It has to learn a lot of math. And my context here is my first startup was College AI, which is an AI that tells you where you should go to college, and it's free, and I don't make money from it, or I don't make money from people using it, I should say. It has some API usage that I get paid for, but we would just input the latitude and longitude of a college as an input to the neural network, and that was useless. We could never get that to work, and we had so much data too. We had like hundreds of thousands of students, but neural networks just don't respond well to coordinates. So what we did instead is we came up with we turned an XY coordinate into 50 fields. So we took an XY coordinate and we turned into 50 fields that represented like the distance to different zip codes is a way to simplify it. So we would say, oh, this college is this far from the zip code. This college is this far from the zip code. And so for one college, it would have 50 distances, and that's how we represented it, and that worked, right? But the point is we did the math. We did the XY math already, especially with one-dimensional coordinates, you can get it to work, but with two-dimensional coordinates, it's painful. Anyway, people should try this and prove me wrong, but that's my experience. Is like I'm too scarred. I won't put coordinates into it. Yeah, exactly. Inputs like to be normalized. You really just have to. What I found with, I'm like, I studied classic machine learning, not generative AI. So like generative AI is much different, and a lot of things are different with generative AI. So I'm no expert in how generative AI algorithms work, but in classic machine learning, how you would make a problem simpler, how you would like actually solve problems, is you would typically look at how you could normalize, simplify your input and output until it was like almost obvious what you wanted the machine learning algorithm to do, where you almost felt like you could write a normal algorithm for it and get decent results. And then you would use the machine learning algorithm to like basically add that 10, 20% or 30%. And it typically wasn't too surprising, I would say, in classic, with classic machine learning. For example, when building the numeric digits classifier, there's a classic machine learning data set of all of these digits. This is what like everybody in, probably undergrad mostly study now. But anyway, when you were building this, you can kind of think of how you could build like a off the shelf thing for this, and you can even think of how you could like my classifier, how it worked is it would look for a zero shape. It would like do the delta, look for a zero shape, and score on 0, score on 1, score on 2, and then feed that into a neural network and just to kind of like calibrate the scores. And that worked really well. Just, feed in the deltas of variations of shapes. So I don't know. Anyway, that's a rant, but this whole thing is made to simplify the input-output representation of I don't know. It's good discussion. It's a good discussion. I appreciate it because I do think there's huge. I mean, I do think it's one of the most interesting unsolved problems right now is routing circuit boards. I know from some large companies before they release a hardware product, they spend a month in routing. They spend 1 month. And it's like round the clock routing with humans. And by round the clock, I mean somebody is routing, they go to bed, another person wakes up and routes, because you can't really have two people route at the same time. So it's a massive issue, and I would love to see it solved by neural nets. Okay, so we're going to do some pretty annoying math. and I'm going to be pretty confused during it. I'll try to make this as painless as possible, but I need to figure out how to flip these things so they're a little bit more. Corner is fine, but some of these other ones, the square is clearly not really dominant axis invariant. So if you have the dominant axis being Y, the shape looks way different than if you have the dominant being X. And it's fine that they look different, but we just want to make sure that that both forms are represented. Sorry to take you far off topic. It's very on topic, right? I mean, that's the whole point of what I'm doing. It's very on topic. I love manual routing, but I'm special. In college, me and my girlfriend at the time would sit in a dorm room and route PCBs together. That's what we did. So routing has a very special place in my heart. But I do think it's not necessary. I think it's almost like ASMR level pleasing to draw all those lines out on the board. Like, it's pleasing. And the tools have gotten pretty good too, like the push and shove auto routers. Like they'll help you route around things automatically. So they're nice. But I think it has to go. I think it has to go. It's meditative. It absolutely is. Yeah, it absolutely is. Whoa, that's crazy. Which part is crazy? I just said so much stuff. I basically just went on a really long rant. You know what's funny is I have a lot of like colleagues or people I know who are doing auto routing startups, and I'm not afraid to share anything because, one, I would benefit. If anybody does an auto router, I would win, or I wouldn't win. Sorry, I would benefit from it. I would love to stop doing this today and just use an API or whatever for an auto router. But also, I don't think they'll change their approach. We all have our theories on how auto routing should work. We're all deep in different types of math, and it's like sunk cost fallacy. We're so committed to our little approaches. Everyone should chat as much as possible on live stream. Something tells me it helps with getting viewers. Yeah, I think you should talk basically the whole time on a live stream. Yeah. I also, yeah, it's a little tricky. I know some live streamers also play music, and I've thought about that a couple times. Sometimes I listen to music on stream, but I never put the audio feed through. I think probably people want to listen to their own music, or like, just like let the, I'm just one feed, if they want this silky ASMR voice, I'll let them have it. Okay, I got a little bit off track here, but I want to make it so that this thing is selectable so that we always have the square selected by default. And I want to throw in like a default obstacle because we're going to be testing this a lot. So I want to like waste as little time as possible. So let's see if I can make it so that the square pattern is selected by default. Oh, I'm on the wrong example, so I should probably start there. What did I change? Ooh. Okay. So selected pattern is available patterns 1. We're going to change that to square, corner, 45. I use my live streams for later publishing, but music would cause a problem with editing and cutting. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I don't know. It's it's kind of weird. I don't really get the live streamers that stream with audio in some ways. I'm like, because people have such different audio preferences. Even like Western versus there's like there's very specific Western taste. And even within Western taste, there's like stuff. So I don't know. Seems odd to me, but I don't know. Okay, I hate this, but we're using screen style coordinates, not Cartesian coordinates. I was thinking about maybe fixing that, but I don't want to spend too long on that. But so this x is actually higher. This is the this is the higher y, but that's not how I think of orientation. We almost every repo we convert to Cartesian coordinates. I might be able to just Let's see if we can flip this. I might try to use AI for it, but it probably will be unsuccessful. So let me do a quick, like a checkpoint PR. I'll just say checkpoint, or a checkpoint commit, and then let's ask AI, flip the y-axis such that the coordinates are Cartesian. Yeah, this is TypeScript. The IDE is Cursor, but for hard problems, I usually use Aider. So I am not a Cursor stan. I really like Aider, which is a command line tool. And normally I would use Aider for this, but lately I've been trying this thing where I select the whole file and I prompt it to do the whole file. And it seems to work basically the same as Aider because they're backed by the same model. So, okay, that seemed to have worked. So I don't think we have to spend too much time on this because that seemed to have done it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, that's great. Let me just make sure none of the other examples broke before I commit this. Yeah, everything's a little different now, but it's great. It's just flipped. I'm actually very happy with that. There's so many ways to optimize this pattern Pathfinder. It's really, really interesting to me. Yeah. So, but I don't want to get I don't want to spend too long on it. So I'll probably only spend so much time on this because we have other circuit problems to solve. There's a really, really slow. Yeah, we need to convert some of our web stuff to use web workers. I really want to do that today. Let me see if I can take a quick look at. Man, all right. We'll do it in. I'll give this until 10. How about that? Set a little bit of a time box on this algorithm because I know I could spend all day on algorithms and then you don't really know if you have something at the end of the day because it has the most experimental dead corners of anything I do. Let me bring in these points a little bit closer just so that's a little easier to see when I reflect it. Okay, so right now what we're trying to do is get the y-axis reflection version of these, which looks like that. It's not a square corner. It's kind of confusing actually. I don't really know what shape that is, but it looks like a good shape to me. Looks like a shape I'd like to have. It's very like asymmetric, so maybe it's not a good idea, but I don't know. Could be an interesting, I don't know, maybe we should just not do it actually. No, I'm thinking about it. I don't know. Anyway, let's to do this, we want to automatically be able to derive that shape. So let's see if we can do that. I'm also noticing if you look at the corners on this guy, it doesn't look very good. Like how it does this sharp turn. It doesn't seem very useful. But what's the alternative? Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, square corners. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not worth spending too much time on this pattern, but we'll do it. Okay, so each function has a function that can generate all variants of the coordinates. So that's how we flip over this axis. So we are going to try to use that function and generate a new variant. So we say if variant direction equals -1, then we flip up. We're actually going to refactor this. We're going to say if flip y, because that's really what it's about. Or y multiply, yeah, y flip. Yeah, that's fine. Y flip. Flip y. Y flip. So we'll change that. If we save that, it gets rid of our y flip variant because we haven't refactored all the variables. So now we will go to our square pattern and we'll change the variable name. Just to clarify it, because we're going to be dealing with both an x flip and a y flip now. I'm going to add two variants, and we're going to add an x flip to negative, negative 1, and then x flip negative 1. I don't know if these names make 100% sense, but I know what I want, which is if you basically drew this thing like this, I want whatever shape that is, so that it's rotation invariant, so that no matter how you rotate it, it sort of generates the same things. There's no bias in a particular direction. Yeah, I realized after doing this a little bit that, it's starting to get a little bit convoluted. So I don't know. What can you do? So if our variant is x flip, let's say I think I'm gonna do some any casting, be lazy. So this is going to be equivalent. We're just taking all those coordinates and moving them. I think I have to like flip the x and y positions. Point with layer null is not assignable. Okay, so result or yeah. Sir, can you help me with something? Can I help you get USD out of your crypto wallet or whatever? Depends what it is. The reason I say that is because there's like a million YouTube scams that start with, can you help me, I accidentally left $1,000 in this crypto wallet, and then somehow they scam you. They're like, oh yeah, you got to pay $5 to get it out. What do you want, dude? Why are you here? Tell me more. Okay, that did something. I actually think that's a lot closer to what we want, but I am confused. If not variant x flip, because I should still have the old ones. We weren't supposed to change how the old code worked. Subscribed after you talked to me like that. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. Live stream audiences are weird. They like the abuse. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm trying to make a scraper, and I'm literally running into the earliest issues. I'll tell you what, if you're running a scraper for an electronics parts supplier website, I am super interested in helping you out. But if you're running a scraper for resume content, the latest Steam store prices, Amazon.com tea blend prices, I don't want it. I don't care. This is an electronics and TypeScript stream. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can be a healthy, good-hearted subscriber, I don't know what's going on. I somehow flubbed this. If variant xflip, it should default to 1. I don't know. How am I messing this up? If variant it defaults to 1, I feel like I'm going crazy. X flip. Maybe I got the name wrong. Maybe I type out the name. X flip. Maddening. Too bad I already subscribed. Ah, shoot. Is there a place you recommend that I can get a basic Node.js tutorial? Because I'm early to coding. I'm going to try to turn my scraper into a flowchart and use AI to assist. Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't even think you need a tutorial so much. You just need Claude or OpenAI. They'll be better than whatever tutorial you have. They'll actually help you do your project. This is like the simplest bug in the world right now. I feel like I'm going crazy. Why would this make a difference? The default value. All right, fine. We'll do some logging. All right, these are all the variants. X flip, X flip, X flip -1, X flip 1. All right, I don't know. I don't know why. I guess I don't understand how the nullish coalescing works or something. Because it seems to be like if I give -1, if -1 is the value here, it somehow goes to 1. So I don't know. I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm not gonna think too hard about it. I'll figure it out later. Yeah, no, I wouldn't use Cursor. I would use Claude, ideally. If you can use Claude, I would use Claude. Claude is the best. If you can't use Claude, I'm very, very sorry. Use DeepSeek. Use DeepSeek if you can't use Claude. Here's how the ranking goes. Claude, DeepSeek, OpenAI. That's just how it works right now. And Cursor, nah, you can use Cursor, but I don't think Cursor isn't really like smart enough to, you really need a mentor, a role model. So use a chat interface a little bit more. If you were a tadpole coding and want to dive into Cursor projects to add to my future AI specific projects folder, where would you look? I'll use Claude. If you were a tadpole to coding and want to dive into Cursor projects. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the Cursor specific stuff. I would just use Claude. Yeah. I use Cursor, but I just use the Command K. It's more of like, I don't use their advanced composer or anything like that. All right, so if results, also need to, yeah. Okay, so if results, we need to remap the coordinates back, something like that. That's not quite right. All right, we got to do some math here. So how do you rotate each coordinate? I think you say p.y, p.x might work. Nice. Okay, so this is okay, but I'm pretty sure it's shoving both of the variants on top of each other. So one should look slightly different. Yeah, so here there are 2, and then it's somehow doing this flipping operation makes it 1. It's kind of crazy though. That doesn't make much sense to me. Is that possible? How could that possibly be the case? Result.map. Where would you look for Claude projects that were cool to follow along and make my own? Just keep asking Claude what you want to do and say it doesn't work and stuff like that. Just open up a conversation. You don't need, that's the cool thing about AI is you don't need like a tutorial or anything like that. Tutorials are out of date. Just like if something doesn't work, like or you want to do something, just ask Claude and Claude will keep helping you. And then try to make it more and more complex. And when you run into a bug, work with Claude for a long time to understand the bug and read what it says, and you'll learn faster than anybody else. Because like I learned on tutorials and it took a fuck ton of time. It's not worth it. It's kind of blowing my mind that this is possible. So when you flip the coordinates back, they both become... I might have to draw a little diagram here, unfortunately. This is a lot of mental processing. I'm being very lazy about this. Because you could kind of use first principles to think about this, but I'm just it's too early in the morning for that. So let's say this is 0, 0. Let's say this is 2, 1. And then you would have something like, this would be like, oh, I think I understand. It needs to rotate about the center, which you wouldn't get from, would you get that from flipping the X and Y? So somehow it's when you combine these two operations. Oh, wait, this has a return statement. That's why. There we go. Turned out it was not a math problem at all. All right, so now we have all the variations of square. And that's why I think this one might be the best pattern, is because it tends to take up a pretty good amount of the white space each time. So it's a pretty decent pattern, I think. I like it at every angle except for 45 degrees and stuff like that, which is great. I'm pretty excited for this pattern. So let's see how it does. Oh, showing the old patterns here. Can you check out this one? I think it will work. Check it out. You mean in the Pathfinder? I will do that right now. Okay, so first I'm annoyed by the other patterns showing, so I'm going to say show available patterns false. And oh, I'm in the wrong. Right, example 7 is the file. Square corner 45, and then, yeah, this is where I wanted. Show available patterns false. I feel like I'm... Okay, so it's working better, I think. I think it's getting new things that it didn't get before, but it's not working that well because we need more variations of the same pattern. So you can see in this case, it doesn't have any... It really doesn't know where to go because all of its variations are failing. So, but that's expected. So let's just take a look at this for a second. This will just take a second. And we're just going to add in other variants. So other fractions, other ways of looking at the shape. And I'm going to temporarily remove all my other variants because... yeah, and maybe we automate this just a tiny bit. So add XY flips. We're just going to have a function that automates the adding of this X flip, Y flip. So take in an object and then returns an array with all the variants. So this should just make it so that our code is slightly cleaner. We don't have so many long arrays. We can be very lazy with the typing. Okay, so now we can do dot 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 add XY flips. Okay, so that's the same. So we didn't change anything, but now it's a lot easier to define new patterns. So let's add, we can increase the corner fraction. So if I said the corner fraction is 1, I actually don't know what that would do. Yeah, that doesn't look so good. We can do 1/3. So that makes it, I don't know if we're really filling in that white space though. Let's make that height fraction 1/4. I don't know. I don't feel like we're filling in the white space too well. Yeah, that's not bad. That's a pretty good one. So just a variant. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So that might do it. And we can combine this with other types of patterns too. So even if this doesn't work, we have a lot more stuff we can do. Okay, let's try it out. Okay, so we're definitely struggling in, I would say, the straight line kind of like, because you can see so many are getting ruled out because they go too high at the beginning. I think when you have, yeah, I don't know. A lot are getting ruled out very quickly. It seems like it's pretty good in the 45-degree sort of space, but it's like our straight line. Yeah, like when you do a straight line, they all kind of crush together in the middle. So it's not very good at straight line. I think what we could do is maybe, sometimes it's not about making the perfect single pattern, but we could add a pattern that's really good at straight line. I think this one is pretty good at straight line, double bend. That's probably, honestly, double bend is the simplest that I think can work because for a single corner, it's not really possible for it to be good at straight line stuff. So I think double bend is probably the way to go. I've been meaning to make a couple more variations of double bend, but you can see double bend has the same issue where it's not, it has a dominant axis issue, but luckily the function we wrote here should be applicable to double bend as well. So we can fix that function very quickly. Okay, so we selected that as the default. So now if I save, it should auto load that. So yeah, this one is very, very, yeah, okay. So here's what I'm going to try. I probably should have done a commit just to save this, but oh boy. Okay, so we're going to say pre-score AB2, and then gonna do that. Add XY flips, we need to move to the top of the file. It's kind of a utility function. Oh. Uh-oh, I modified the wrong one. I was modifying corner. Or was I? Yeah, I think I was modifying corner. And this one we actually don't want to change because it's very simple. Oh, I ooped. That's why you got to commit. That's why you got to commit. I oofed the whole thing. All right. Checkpoint, square, looking good. Okay, let's jump over here. Move this to the top again. Yeah, I need to cut down this file. Each of these patterns should be their own file. Gapping corner. What's the one I like? Double bend 45. Double bend 45. All right. Yeah, and we've got a bunch of variation of the bend size fractions. So let's remove those. Try to keep it as simple as possible. We're going to remove that dir variable and replace it with this xy flips thing. So it should create 4 variants each time. We might not need 4 variants, but okay. Yeah, so those are the 4 variants of the function. It's actually, the automatic flipping is very nice. And for some reason, it makes it look 3D. You guys seeing that? Looks like 3D for some reason. I have no idea why. Okay, then we don't need any special handling for dir anymore. This is just cleaning up because the utility function does so much for us. Oh no! Somehow I broke things. That makes me sad. Why would this break things? I think it's still just the sort of direction handling. There we go. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so I think this pattern will save the day. I think this one's much better at straight lines. Let's see. So yeah, I really want to take a look at its straight line performance. It seems like the higher the bend size fraction gets, the better it gets at straight line. So let's like increase it to some ridiculous amount. 5/6. Yeah, there we go. All right. So that fills a pretty good amount of the space. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. Okay. Cool. All right, we're filling a lot of the space. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. Let's give it a try. It gets crazy. There's a lot of stuff to fix, but it gets crazy. It shouldn't cause a problem. But it does get crazy. Okay, last thing is we want to now use both of these patterns. So I'm going to make it so it uses both of these patterns for our Pathfinder, and let's see how we do. I'm going to add a top and bottom because that always seems to make it struggle, especially with the square one. Okay, so far so good. All right. Yeah, we are, the more patterns you have, the more iterations you might have to take. So I think it can solve a lot of stuff now, but it is taking more iterations and it gets hung up on weird things. If we increase the number, let's do 300. I don't like to go above 300. Let's see if it gets like trapped anywhere or anything. I don't know. I don't see it getting trapped anywhere, but it's definitely not exploring that center space very well. It's weird that gets caught right there. I think what's happening is it's more or less the A-star algorithm. You can see when I covered that up with an obstacle, it can you check PR 34 for the contribution tracker? See, all this time I thought you were talking about the algorithm, and what you were talking about was a PR. Well, Rishab gave you a review, or did he? Oh, Rishab said looks good to me. Okay, fix review counting. I don't know, dude. I don't like your naming. I can't. It's really hard for me to understand what's going on, and this project has no tasks, so you can't really prove that it works. So the naming actually is quite important. But all right, so get all PRs is the name of this function. and then only get the latest reviewer. You're already wrong if you're not considering all the reviews, because we still want to know how many times somebody requested changes. So I like, yeah, like rejections. Yeah, I mean, it's wrong. It's wrong, right? Like, approvals given is not, like, it doesn't, all these variable names no longer make sense. So it's not right. What'd you say? I fixed the review counting once per PR, regardless of so many times. No, it's for the purposes, for the purposes of counting the number of contribution points. We want to only count the PRs once. So really you want to measure the number of PRs reviewed per user, not the number of reviews given, for the purpose of calculating the contribution score. The contribution score is what gives the users the number of stars on the contribution tracker. That's how stars are determined. Yeah, we're definitely getting hung up on some stuff. I also feel like we're missing like a pattern that just snakes down. Like, that would be the best one to fill the space. Maybe we have it. Maybe I just need to introduce it. I think this is a form of that kind of snake down pattern. Yeah, gapping corner is pretty good too. We could try throwing in some other ones, but gapping corner is pretty good. It works in every orientation, so that one's great. That's a very good, well-written function. I think this one is not. This one doesn't work on doesn't work when you have y coordinates. So we need to improve that one, but the other ones are good. So, all right, but we did fix double bend. So fix double bend. Overshoot 45 I like, but we need to, we'll switch to our presort AB2. Let's take another look at it. Oh, broken. I think it's broken because basically we need to say variance flip x, or x flip is 1, and y flip is 1, and nothing else. Yes. Okay. So now it's working normally. Might be working slightly better, maybe. Looks like some things are a little broken. We don't need UDY anymore. That's always going to be positive now, in theory. It should make no difference. Yeah. I think that's true. I think it made no difference. Yeah. Okay. And then we can flip the y, x flip 1, y flip -1. And that should give us all the variations we want, I think. Nice. Oh, that's sweet. Oh, interesting. We kind of get this sharp, and we still have so maybe we do need 4 variations. Keep switching the default. It needs to be in local storage or something. Okay. Yeah, so now we have, yeah. It's not great that they traverse the same line, but I'm being a little bit lazy about all that right now. But yeah, we'll have to make it so that the that we get rid of patterns we don't want later. It's actually, this is a pretty good case to test for that. But it's a pretty good case to test for it. So when is it not acceptable? Okay, here's what we do. We're going to simplify to one case. I'm also going to adjust the default here. This is really annoying me. So example 6, we want the default to be overshot. Okay. All right. So that is set up whenever I save. What X and Y position makes it so that this doesn't work? It looks like whenever the Y delta is greater than the X delta. So if dy is greater than dx, return null. So we just don't handle that case now, and it should just go away. Perfect. Yeah, so now it's never doing weird stuff, weird sharp corners. And then if we add back in all of our variants, now we only get the ones we want. It's kind of hard to tell, but those are all 45-degree angles. It has really weird behavior at straight line. It looks like a triangle. But yeah, that should do it. I think this one can't have any parameters. I think there's only one way to do this. Is that right? I feel like we need a variant of this pattern that goes directly. Like this one goes up and down for some reason. Yeah, we don't have one that goes like to the middle then down. Huh, interesting. Oh, yeah. We should do that. That's probably one of the best patterns. Single bend is what we'll call it. I'm going to start without XY flips. It's easier to think about. Oh, I went way past 10 on this. Yeah, I definitely need to do the web worker stuff on snippets or typescript.com. So I don't know. I'll do a post stream. I'm having too much fun. I love algorithms. I mean, at least when they have purpose. Okay, so this one works. So I'm gonna put in A and B here, and then this one goes. How do you know when to bend? I guess there's. Yeah, you know when to bend. Okay. You go to the midpoint. Let's create a variable for the midpoint. So you go to the midpoint minus the y distance you need to cover, I think. So dy divided by 2. I think that's it. Yeah, something like that. The AI is close. You don't need the midpoint variable though. Is that right? Maybe you only need 1 point. Do you need? No, you need 2. Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. Nah, I was wrong. It's kind of an interesting one though. Single bend. Huh. Oh, that is interesting. I wonder if that's a useful pattern. It's not what I wanted to do though. But Yeah, and one of the angles isn't 45 degrees, so it's not good. No, what I want to do. All right, let's move top left quarter, and we'll do some Excalidraw for what I want to do here. We have A, we have B, and what I want to do is go this, like, yeah, like this, and then up to, oh boy, all right, that's hard to draw. Let's make it more like this. Yeah, that's what I want. It's a very simple one. I'm calling that single bend. I don't know if that makes sense, but single bend. And then I guess you can change where you do that bend, because you could vary this distance or this distance to do different levels of asymmetry. But anyway, I was saying that this was the midpoint. And so if this is 45 degrees, the travel distance, it's kind of not drawn perfectly right there. But if it's 45 degrees, you travel the same amount in X as you do in Y. So the delta in the Y should be, I don't know, it's possible I just need to subtract this too. Oh. No, that's not it. Oh, actually, this first point is at A dot Y. The second point is at B dot Y. That's it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of head thinking there, but yeah, we get this great Z pattern. So that Z pattern, if we want to avoid it, I think we probably do. If we want to avoid the Z pattern, that happens when yeah, it looks like it's useless anytime the Y difference is greater than the X difference again. So if dy is greater than dx, return null. We could say that for, I think, any of these, almost any pattern. You can just do between 0 and 45 degrees, because once you go over 45 degrees, it flips. So we could actually make that like a default thing. Okay, we'll add the XY flips. This should add some variance. I don't think it did anything, though. Maybe this one doesn't vary as you flip. It gave us more options, but you can see when I... Okay, let's try this. Let's do X flip 1, and then instead of flipping X, let's just flip Y, because I think I'm creating patterns that are directly on top of each other. I could be wrong. No, that's not working. Let's try flipping the X. It looks like a slightly darker green. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. Now we've got our single bend. So what we can do is flip the symmetry of this bend a little bit to create more variations. So so we can say like an, I guess offset would be a good way to put it. Say offset. Yeah, something like that. Offset 0.5, and we would take whatever this distance is and move it down or up by that distance. So we'll start with offsets 0. Flip this. We'll do more offsets. Or yeah, we'll do negative 0.5 or something like that. And so that should shift it to the left. Max offset distance is going to be midpoint.x minus dy divided by 2, which puts you midpoint.x minus this distance. So now we have the x position of this. So then it's a.x minus that. A lot to keep track of in the head. But this is my 100th hour of writing these. So, and then we shift both of them in the same direction by that offset. The offset we need to pull out here. Okay, there we go. So we've shifted it to the left, taking up a little bit more of that white space. So can you tell me when I get free by the maintenance tracker? 95. I don't think that's changed. 95. Any month it's over 95, you get $20. But it looks like you're already on track for that. So I think you're good. If you want, you could build an Algora workflow that checks monthly and awards it to you automatically. If you really want to make sure that it happens, because we're going to do more maintenance awards. So you could build that out if you wanted. Yeah, if you make the issue, I'll bounty that as well. But I don't want to spend too much time on the meta, you know. So I feel like I did this one weird. Negative offsets, and then we want we're gonna do a positive offset. So it's not like that. And now we've got 3 variants of this. You can see they get really similar when you get to straight line. So yeah, it's a little bit worrisome. Anyway, yeah, we are generating a lot of patterns. Bye. Okay, let's go back to our Pathfinder here. And we're going to use some of the new things we made. So corner is kind of useless. Overshoot I like. And then the one we just did is single bend. So let's see if it's able to solve paths now with all its new tools. All the new patterns it has available. Okay. Pretty good. And much more PCB-like. We still have some problems here, but this surprises me. Also, it's saying that this is the best path. Let's try taking a look at just our single bend, because the single bend is kind of, I feel like the single bend can do a lot on its own. So let's see how it does. Yeah, so it like doesn't have that many offsets to try. I wonder what single bend is best combined with. Like, you want me to build a workflow repo where it checks the playwright monthly, and if it's above 95, you will pay me $20 every month on Algora. Yes, that's what Maintenance Tracker can do. And Algora has an API. You'll also have to build fake Algora, but you shouldn't check the workflows directly. You should check this Maintenance Tracker. So you can add, I'll give you one issue for now. Return, introduce route, slash status.json that returns status metrics as JSON. So if you do this, you can if you do this, then you can pull maintenance.tscircuit.com as an API. And I like that more because I trust those numbers. I can see those numbers. If you pull for the GitHub checks, I wouldn't know whether those were accurate. I would have to like evaluate that code. So just make it so that that has an API. So I gave you the first issue, but you'll want to make the others. The other issues are to make a repo. You could actually put it in the maintenance repo, just a workflow that checks it and then calls the Algora API. And then you'll also need I'll make a repo for fake Algora that you can PR to. Whoops. Wow. Bootstrap with the API for sending payment. Yeah, it's interesting to see how I need better default obstacles on this thing. It's driving me nuts to have to keep drawing obstacles. Let's throw in some default obstacles here. So we'll put one right smack dab in the center. The other thing I could do is try to save it to local storage, what the user drew. So we could have a Can you assign me these issues? Just assign me the issue so that's easier for you to find. I can't assign you for some reason. I need to probably add you to part of the org. So the reason I don't add people to the org is just because it's logistically annoying with GitHub. GitHub's UI for it is I have to like go add a seat to the enterprise and stuff like that. So anyway, I'll don't let me forget. I'll add you to the org and then I'll be able to assign you. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't do that very easily. Actually, this is probably fine. I think there's use state local storage. Use local storage state, yeah. Yeah, easy. Okay, so we'll use that. Use local storage state. Or whoops. Should be an import. What is this? Use local storage state. Use local storage state. Oh, it's the default export. Man, I hate when people get a really good npm package name and then they use bad practices. They want me to name it. They want me to give it a default value. Okay, should save now. Although we don't track. Yeah, I don't have a function here on. Yeah, on simple red JSON change or on change simple red JSON. Sometimes it's better to have standard prefixes, even if it kind of makes you talking Yoda speak with the verbs in the wrong order. Because it's worth it for the common prefixes. People know what to expect and what to look for. You're typing the wrong username. Holy moly, Claude is crazy. Thank you, mate. No problem. No problem. You were typing the wrong username. My username is Ansh Grover. What did I type? I'm pretty sure I typed your name right. Ansh. Yeah, you're not showing up. I typed your name right. I need to add you to the org. And I don't want to like futz around with my org settings on stream. So I'll do it after this. Are you coding in Python right now? No, this is TypeScript. It doesn't the stream title say TypeScript? Absolute madman comes in here and accuses me of Python. The telltale sign that this is not Python is Python basically has almost no curly braces. There's almost no curly braces in Python. So if you see a ton of curly braces, it's probably JavaScript or TypeScript, which are two sides of the same coin. All right, theoretically, we have local storage now. So if I refresh, it didn't work. Oh, I don't have a handler here, so we'll do that. Okay, draw, refresh. There they stay. So I won't have to keep drawing just to try out this Pathfinder. I'll probably need a button to clear my state soon too, but should work. And I think if I move the points, yeah, that also sticks around. So let's draw a really good example because we're stuck with it for a little while. But this is cool because now as I update the algorithm, it should auto-update. I can see the results in real time. No Python. Sevi is into TS circuit only. That is true. I am very TS circuit oriented. But we do MicroPython on occasion for microcontrollers, and I do have some Python projects planned. So we'll have some Python in the future. It kind of is crazy to me that this doesn't work better, but I guess it makes sense. Maybe the right combination. So you can see all the three things it's trying right there in the yellow. You can see all the three variants it's trying. I think maybe single bend and double bend might be a power combo. Let's be adversarial for a moment. We're going to try to break it. Okay. So when we break it, you can see all the paths it tried. And I'm really surprised this path up here didn't work. But I think I know why. Sevi, I know Java. I do have a Java thing, but it actually has the highest bounty in TS circuit. If you go to our bounties and you look up the highest bounty, it's for a Java problem. It's to patch the free routing project to support progress, trace progress. So that is the highest bounty in the whole project is Java. That being said, it's not easy, so. And I can't help you with it either because I don't really, for better or worse, I don't really like to write too much Java. Yeah, when you combine all of our patterns together, you start to get pretty good paths. There we have a bug. Yeah, these bugs, they surprise me, you know, where it struggles. So this is the best path, the one kind of highlighted here. And yeah, it's just not quite, it's not able to resolve this little dot right here. Fun thing about paths, well, it's hard to replicate. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to replicate. Yeah, it's so close to solving it too. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, corner. Yeah, I got a failure right there. It's kind of surprising. So this segment, it Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. So I think if I move this over here, yeah, you can almost. Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting, huh? See how it's not really trying anything? That's like a true corner. I think that's probably the problem. That's so interesting. It's interesting how if we go to the this auto router, um, how like good it is, the scale invariant one or the rotation invariant one. It's just crazy how good it is, and I think part of that is there's a lot of power in kind of the randomness when you're not conforming to a grid. Um, yeah, it's crazy how good this one is. Because the other thing is, if you look at the iteration count and the number of patterns it's trying way less. Breaks if you go into an obstacle. Obviously, there's no way. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. You know me, I'm a bounty hunter. Yeah, indeed, indeed. Loves the hunt. Man loves the hunt. Who's to blame him? Yeah, I think we have a 45-degree angle problem. What is the fix? What is the best pattern for a 45-degree angle? So single bend breaks. Yeah, that's terrible. Overshoot breaks. Gap and corner. Gap and corner. Okay, let's try it. So gap and corner should save the day on that. Yeah, it's being used there. Yeah, it's great. Ooh, all right. All right, we might have a winning combo now. It's doing pretty good. Iteration count is pretty good. Granted, there's a lot of patterns. So your total cost is pattern segments times iterations is sort of your total cost relative to the rotation invariant one. Oh, we failed it. It looks like the reason. Yeah. How can we fix this one? Yeah, it's almost like it didn't try this kind of low route. Hmm. Okay, then. Final good night. All right, good night, Ansh. Thanks for turning in or turning up, turning around. Yeah, it's like this angle for some reason. I don't know what angle this is, but this angle has so much white space. You don't see any yellows in the middle here. It's not trying too much stuff. Um, Nothing seems to address that we're currently using. Let's see if overshoot changes the equation. Overshoot really didn't put anything in there. So there's really no pattern that adjusts whatever this angle is. I think it's maybe 15 degrees if I had to guess. I would think this single bend would do it, but I guess not. Single bend. Yeah. Or maybe we just don't have enough steps to get a single bend there. Hey. Yeah, I'm not sure. Where is it spending time? It's spending so much time. You can tell because the animation, it's pausing so long in this one. It's spending so much time on the bottom. Kind of looking at a very similar route. So we're losing a lot of iterations on that route. That's interesting. Yeah, I think what it comes down to is the square bend. It, uh, yeah, I don't know. I feel like square bend is the key to everything. It looks like the best pattern to me. It really fills out the space, but it has like at 30 degrees, it has some weird white space. At 45, it also acts really weird. It like, yeah, it has a space it doesn't like around 45. But there's so much white space in that center there. As you get to this lower spot, they all start overlapping. I think I need to get rid of that snaky pattern as much as I like it. I think it's confusing because it's a good pattern on its own, but it's distracting from what the square corners or whatever. Name makes less sense. Yeah, so let's get rid of it. I think we should implement it as a separate thing. So when does that happen? When do we go into this state? Let's see if we can figure it out. Yeah, it's always when yeah, there's kind of like a couple weird states with square. Another is when it does this and kind of flips up at the end there. But yeah, this snaky state happens when looks like it's the same as ever. It's when dy is greater than, whenever dy is greater than dx, we seem to have weird things happen. Yeah. And then while we're here, we might as well get rid of this weird thing. Hmm. So that's whenever dy is greater than the corner size, I think. Yeah. Okay, so it should disappear. There we go. Yeah, disappear. Perfect. All right, now we've got very consistent squares, so they won't take up iterations wasted on trying to figure out the square. So let's add back in all the flips. And now it's much more predictable. Yeah. This is a pretty good pattern. Almost always has a lot of space. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good pattern. Let's add another variation here. Maybe something like that. What does that look like? Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty good variation, this sort of center one. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I don't like that one very much. Yeah, there's a lot of like little narrow escapages. I think those will be pretty good. At 45 degrees, this pattern is useless. So we do need something there. Yeah, around 45 degrees, it just turns off. So what pattern is best at 45 degrees? Single bend? Yeah. Okay. So theory is single bend and square corner. So remove square corner, like sort of like curve inner variant. I think that was causing more trouble than it was worth. This one also causes a lot of trouble when it has a really small corner because they all kind of overlap, and then you're sort of you're evaluating it many times. So we should probably fix that as well. Single bend. Yeah, it's a little tricky what to call that though. Might just want to say, you know, at some point you just stop working. So if dy is less than dx divided by 10 or something. So I think that will, yeah, just turns it off when it looks like it's going to be useless. Very simple. Oh, at 45 it's also useless. Oh, interesting. So this is really specialing. Oh, we don't have something for 45 then still. Okay. All right, so, and also when dx, or, this one's interesting. So at 45, how do we know if it's at 45 degrees? It's when they're kind of equal. I think we would say something like dx minus dy. It's like if the ratio, I think there's a general purpose way to say this. If the ratio between these things is not, yeah, something like that maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of math trial and error here. Okay, I think I did the opposite, maybe. Okay. Okay, I don't know. Oh. Yo, what up, Yassine? How's it going? I'm deep in a bunch of math for pattern functions, so it's you know, it's one of those kinds of streams. All right, I like that. It kind of goes away. I think it goes away a little bit too easy here and a little bit too late on the other one. I'm just like futzing around with numbers. Yeah, it should go away a little earlier. Yeah, all right. Good enough. I could use trig, but I'm being a little lazy. It looks like that basically worked where, yeah, you go over 45 and it disappears. Perfect. All right, let's go back to our Pathfinder and see if we're able to find new paths with our new capabilities. Yeah, I don't know. Still many failures. I'm good, thank you. I'm new in this world. Congratulations, you were just born. You have been born. Yeah, he's cool. I think that paths are generally looking better without the sharp corners. We somehow got one there, but generally it's looking okay. Let's let's try to focus in. We modified single bend, we modified square corner. So those are the two kind of simple things we have here. It's very easy to understand when you look at it. One is optimized for 45-degree angles, so they definitely fill a space. So it's kind of easy to understand what they're doing. Um, it looks like, actually, I feel like I'm still missing a pattern for 45 degrees specifically. So we want a pattern that's optimized for this area. I finished to learn HTML and CSS and JS now. Nice. JavaScript is, the greatest pleasure, you can undergo in your life. So have fun. Oh, corner is good at it. Okay, so we're gonna add corner for that case. All right. So this is the power combo. I think these three patterns should be able to get around anything. They might need some size variations, but I don't know. It's still struggling. There might be too many variants for corner. Let's remove the number of variants so there's less candidates. Make our iterations more worthwhile. I don't know. Oh, this is tricky. Also, my browser's starting to get mad because of all the saves to local storage, I think. When you drag. Are you making a monster Dr. Frankenstein? What? How so? Oh, man, I don't know. I can't believe I spent an hour on this. Or I spent over an hour. I spent an hour and a half. Basically a full-length movie just playing with these patterns and seeing if we could get far. But, yeah, I don't know. The other thing is corners seem to be crashing my computer. Everything got a lot slower with corners. I don't know why. Corners are pretty simple. Our little corner 45 pattern. I think it's this one. Gap in corner. Yeah, gap in corner. Using components from different algos, patching them together. Yeah, I think you have to combine the algorithms together. Yeah, exactly. It's a Frankenstein. Yeah. Because that's what we did with this other Pathfinder. So I'm just using in the non-orthogonal or 45 degree one, and it works really well. You just pick a set of patterns, and if you get the right set of patterns, and like I'll optimize this, I'll like use machine learning and all the stuff to optimize the patterns. I'll do a lot of work on pattern selection, but I just want to know that it's going to work with only 45 degree angles, because that's what PCBs are really used to. But I feel like it doesn't. I feel like the only how this approach works is basically like I think this works especially well on a grid because of the lack of 45 degree angles. It's like, yeah. I mean, it is easy to break this one too. Like, it definitely fails. I think about how many how I compare this, like how I think about the performance is that this iteration count up here 71. I think about it relative to the to our iJump auto router, and basically what it does is it goes like to a wall, then it goes up or down. So it's like 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7. So I would guess it would take about 30-ish to get here, maybe less, maybe 20, 15. So the fact that this is taking 71 is not great. That one's, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of optimization and stuff like that, and sometimes it's great. Like in this case, for example, it would dramatically beat our or I jump or or strictly orthogonal, the one that only goes up down, left, and right, it would definitely be to here. 4 iterations is really good, because it tends to bounce around. But or maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. I went to bed last night and I was like, this approach will definitely work, but it's. I have a couple more tricks I can pull to try to make it even better. For example, we don't use the location of the intersection right now. We just like throw tons of patterns at it. And like, I'm not sure. I think using the location of the intersection could be really interesting, because computing the location of the intersection takes around the same amount of time as computing whether or not there is an intersection. And so I think you can abuse that, or use that to make it a lot faster. Yeah, but overall, not a stunning success, I would say. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, not all of them are going to be big W's. Yeah, it's like the problem is much harder when you only use 45-degree lines. If I got the same level of success on this as the like, any pattern one, I would be so excited. I would like throw it into our PCB autorouter right away. But the fact that it's not working super well, it's crashing my browser. The fact that it's not working super well on 45-degree traces is not good. I was hoping there would be one pattern, because I got like a lot of early wins for the other router where you can use one pattern. And like if I go to the custom pattern selector and I just select wide arrow, this can almost do everything. It's crazy how much this can do. Like it gets caught, and then like really the only way you can just move it around a little bit to catch it. Like you're basically just like these are really just edge cases, and then these edge cases are so easy to fix when you just add a ultra wide arrow pattern. And so this fixes like 90% of the issues with that last one, and then you add a couple more patterns and it's really solid. Yeah, but I'm not seeing the same wins with the 45 degrees, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, not sure why. This one usually only takes like 3-4 iterations, and the other guy is taking a lot less. I love how it wraps around corners too, but the angle is too sharp. 45 degrees. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I could do is it's not. Let's look at that PCB again on Wikipedia. I think it's not that uncommon to have. They usually, most people when they look at a PCB, and it's really human preference, but there are advantages to having a lot of straight lines. But people usually do like. People do usually only use 45 and straight lines. I think, and I really didn't want to have to do this, but I think the only way to get this to work is if I use the locations of the intersections, which is kind of complex. But yeah, let's turn on things again. I think those are all the ones I like. Yeah, so And let's animate it. Let's see where it's spending its time. Yeah, it kind of narrows in on this path, which is good. That's definitely the right path. It's also useful to lower the number of iterations so that you can kind of tell what's going on. But like, if you use the location of the intersection, like right now, this is a really good example. I coincidentally drew a pretty good example of this, but these two obstacles are really in the way, or like basically it's getting through this obstacle, but it's not getting through this one. If you look at like the center of the line, it's kind of hard to tell. But you could say, oh, I actually hit it here, and so the next segment is going to start at a different place. Yeah. There's a way for me to hack this very quickly, but in a very kind of inefficient way. But I could pre-segment all of these lines, which would like 10x the number of intersections. But we could do it just to test that the approach works and then optimize the intersection calculation later, and that would be fine. It's a little bit lazy, but can definitely do that. Do we have a robot pathfinding algorithm? A robot pathfinding algorithm? Like, no, I don't think they. When you're at the scale of a robot, it's not as hard. Like usually, like PCB routing is harder than robot routing, I guess is what I would say, or like navigation, like maps or anything like that, because you have to do so many so fast. Because like, my problem isn't finding a route. I could use a million methods to find a route. Mine is finding it instantly. Like, how do you make it so fast to find a route? That's my that's what I'm trying to do. I'm always counting the number of iterations and stuff like that. Because the other thing is when you're able to find a route quickly, you can easily find 10 routes, and then you have options. So you almost get exponential benefits to being able to find routes faster because you can try more variations. And then it's way easier to say like, oh, this variation is better than that variation. So if I was able to generate like 100 versions of a routed PCB, picking from those, it'd be crazy how different and better they would be. Yeah. Also, not that many people work in the space of approximate pathfinding. Like if you're having a robot move, a lot of times you want to have it move optimally. Because the cost you have, like, maybe you have 10 seconds to compute the route it's going to take. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too speculative. Maybe there are good pathfinding algorithms in robotics, but like I found that like when I look around at pathfinding algorithms, like you see it for games, and games are way different too, because games they actually generate nav meshes before they do the game, and nav meshes are super fast, but they're pre-computed. They're not dynamically computed. So I could generate a nav mesh for my PCB and then update it, but it would be like you wouldn't be able to drag and drop subcircuits around or something like that. It would need to recompute that nav mesh pretty frequently, and I actually think some really big programs do that. And we're gonna do subcircuit route caching. So if you have kind of like a subcircuit, you can keep those routes the same as you drag it around, and they don't have to be recomputed. But to me, it's all hacks, right? Like, what's the optimal super fast algorithm? That's kind of what I want to know. There's probably an optimal algorithm when you actually have to, do the routing. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Yeah. How can you use machine learning for this? Yeah, I talked about it a little bit earlier on stream, but that's actually why I started working on this, is because I was looking for optimal representations of paths for machine learning. So squishing the output data set down because classifiers are easier to build. So could I do path classification? You were working. Yeah, I guess I am streaming on a Thursday morning. No. I'm with you. I'm with you. No, I mean, look, hey, I don't have high expectations as far as like people paying attention, right? I'm ASMR or whatever, but just for people who might have stuck around for this 3-hour journey. um. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is hack this really quickly, just so that I mean I'm pretty sure this will work. So it should end on a win. It's just really hard to the optimization. I'm gonna have to think about for a long time, but we can build the unoptimized version very quickly. Um, so yeah, how it works is we're gonna break this into segments, and each subsegment can be solved. It's gonna send our iteration count through the roof. So I'm gonna have to increase this max steps quite a bit, but it should be able to solve. Uh, yeah. So right here, projected point variance, apply pattern function, and then we're gonna say divide, subdivide segments. And we'll write a utility function for subdividing segments. We could just do one subdivision for now. Keep it super, super simple. So we're going to divide every segment into 2, which is not the best way to do it. The best way would be to look at how long it is and proportionally divide. But the patterns are actually pretty good. I don't know. We'll see. So for each segment, we're going to push 2 segments. Man, AI has been so bad for me lately. Okay, so A, B, B. Yeah, okay, that's good. And then... Okay, I lied. That's pretty good. That should work. All right. Got our subdivide segments function. Gonna send our iteration count through the roof. Why are you complaining? Path, point with layer. Okay, it doesn't take a segment. I was wrong about what it took. It takes paths, which is even simpler. Ooh. Oh yeah. This is more complicated. Okay. So we're actually gonna mutate the paths, I guess. X, Y, L, path I. Or we'll say current, and then we'll say next. Do all this fun stuff. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. That should do it. I think, theoretically. Oh, it's broken. New paths, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I think if AI is correct, we forgot to push the last point. Okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah. That looks about right. It looks a little bit crazy, but it's going to take a lot more iterations now, and there's going to be a lot more crazy stuff that happens. Oh, my computer getting so slow. Let's animate it. Oh, it's really struggling with that corner. Interesting. See if we can drag this around without crashing things. Oh. I think I can't handle more than 100 iterations because it like re-renders the algorithm a lot. So we're actually running it like 120 times every second. So in practice, it would be much, much faster. I'm also probably going to rewrite this in like Rust or C or something if it actually does end up working. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing the sub segment help. That's why you see like a little bit of weirdness in the pattern. But I don't know. It's still... Why wouldn't it explore like this sub segment? I feel like I'm going crazy. Yeah, there's also the A* cost function to look at. Well, anyway, let's see. Let's leave out the subdivide segments because it's confusing for when I pick this up again. But I think I should press pause. I gotta do some TS circuit proper stuff. I don't think we're gonna rewrite our auto router today. It's too bad this didn't work because I totally would love to rewrite stuff. Yeah, and I do want to play with this more, but I think you gotta call it quits at some point. And I gotta eat lunch. So thank you for joining. Sorry that we had another algorithm stream. I guess every couple days we're gonna have some stream that's just gonna be all algorithms. So sorry about that, but it's what happened. You got to see some pretty colors. Maybe that's what you need in your life. Some pretty colors. But thanks for joining. Definitely. Hey, hit that bell. Hit that bell, you jerk. Come on. Do it. And otherwise.